Hey everyone, and welcome. Get ready for an absolutely incredible story from ancient India. Seriously, it's got everything. A young hero, a really nasty bully of a king, and a showdown so big it'll have you on the edge of your seat. So, let's jump right in. Okay, before we get into the story, let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a situation, maybe on the playground or even in a movie, where one person seemed way bigger or stronger than the other? Like a total mismatch. Keep that feeling in mind because it is right at the center of the story we're telling today. All right, so picture this, the amazing city of Mathura. But there's a huge problem. The king, a real tyrant named Kamsa, is super cruel, and pretty much everyone is terrified of him. But then, everything changes. Two young brothers show up in town, our heroes, the incredible Krishna and his super strong brother Balarama. And you know what? King Kamsa is suddenly feeling pretty nervous.
So what does this nervous, angry king do? He decides to set a trap. He organizes this huge wrestling festival and invites the brothers. The entire city gathers to watch. And the main event? Young Krishna has to fight the king's #1 champion, a massive wrestler named Chanura. And Balarama? He's pitted against another giant named Mushtika. The air is just electric with tension.
Okay, it's time for our first Sanskrit story word. This is such a great one. The word for a big fight or a battle like this is yudham. Let's try to say it together. Ready? Yud-dham. Perfect. Let's say it again. Yud-dham. Awesome. So Krishna and Balarama were about to start their great yudham. So the match begins. You'd expect everyone to cheer, right? Nope. Instead, this huge gasp just ripples through the crowd. You see all the women watching from the stands, they start whispering to each other. They aren't excited. They are completely horrified. They know something is very wrong. And this is basically what they were all saying to each other. They felt that what the king was doing was just wrong, totally unfair, making these young boys fight his giant professional wrestlers. To them, that was breaking a major rule of being a good person. It was a fight between the super strong and the weak, and they couldn't believe the king was actually making it happen. And this slide shows you exactly why everyone was so worried. I mean, look at this. The king's wrestlers are described as having limbs like lightning bolts and being as strong as mountains. But Krishna and Balarama, well, they're just kids. The story says their limbs are very tender, and they aren't even fully grown up yet. It looks like the most unfair fight ever. The women in the crowd were watching Krishna so closely, and what they saw just broke their hearts. They said his face, which was usually as beautiful as a lotus flower, was starting to get these little beads of sweat on it from how hard he was fighting. You can just feel their worry, right? They were so scared for him. But just as the crowd's worry was at its absolute peak, something shifted inside the wrestling ring. Krishna made a decision. He saw the worried faces of his friends and family, and he knew playtime was over. It was time to stop holding back and finish this thing for good. And the match was just wild. They were grabbing each other's arms, their legs, trying to get any kind of advantage. There were strikes with fists, with knees. They were spinning and shoving, each one trying to crush the other or just lift them up and throw them down. It was a complete whirlwind of action. And then, the big moment. Kanura, the champion, he puts all of his strength into one huge move. With a roar, he slams his fists right into Krishna's chest. The whole crowd just freezes. But Krishna doesn't even move. Not an inch. He just stands there, totally solid. Okay, this is my absolute favorite image from the whole story. It says Chanura's massive punch. It felt like someone trying to move a giant elephant by just, tapping it with a little necklace made of flowers. It did absolutely nothing. And that's the moment everyone realizes Krishna's so much stronger than anyone thought. And just like that, it was over. In a flash, Krishna grabs the huge wrestler, starts spinning him around and around like a toy, and then, bam, slams him onto the ground. The king's champion was defeated. And get this, at the same time, Balarama finished his fight and beat Mushtika just as easily.
So you can imagine that up on his high throne, King Kamsa is not having a good day. His whole evil plan has completely failed, the brothers beat his best fighters, and as he sits there watching, his fear just boils over into pure, uncontrollable rage. And this is when you really see what a sore loser and a true villain he is. Instead of admitting he lost, he just starts screaming all these terrible orders. He's yelling, "Get those boys out of my city, steal everything their friends own, and arrest their father Vasudeva and get rid of him." I mean, just cruel right to the very end.
Down in the arena, Krishna hears these horrible commands. He looks right up at the screaming king, and he knows exactly what has to happen next. The wrestling match might be over, but the most important fight, that was just about to start. It was time to face the tyrant himself.
And it all happened so fast. It was like lightning. One moment, Krishna's on the arena floor. The next, leap, he's right up on the high platform with the king. Kamsa, totally terrified, pulls out his sword, but before he can do anything, Krishna grabs him by the hair and his fancy crown just tumbles off. Then he pulls the tyrant right off his throne, and just like that, the evil king's rule was over.
But wait, it's not over yet. As the tyrant falls, his 8 brothers, who are furious, all rush forward to attack. But they made a huge mistake. They totally forgot about Krishna's mighty brother. Balarama stands right in their way, and with his powerful club, he defeats all 8 of them. What a team, right? With the battle won and the tyrant gone, the sound from the crowd is completely different now. It's not a gasp of fear, it's a massive cheer of pure joy. The dark cloud of fear that had been hanging over Mathura for so long was finally gone. Music started playing, people were celebrating, justice had come back to the city.
And that idea of justice brings us to our second Sanskrit story word. This is a big one. The word is dharmaha. Can you try that with me? Dharmaha. Let's try it again. Dharmaha. It's a word that means doing the right thing, justice, your duty, all of it. By defeating Kamsa, Krishna had brought dharmaha back to everyone.
What's really amazing is that even Kamsa's own family understood this. His wives were, of course, very sad, but they said these words. They knew that he ended up this way because he had been so cruel to so many innocent people. And they asked a really powerful question. How can anyone ever be truly happy if they build their life on hurting others? And now we come to the best part of the whole story. The very first thing Krishna and Balarama did after their incredible victory, they went straight to the dark dungeons. Because that's where King Kamsa had kept their mother, Devaki, and their father, Vasudeva, locked away for years and years. They broke their chains, and finally the family was together and free.
So that brings us to our last question for you to think about. This story is definitely about incredible strength. But is that all it takes to be a hero? Was Krishna a hero just because he was strong, or was it because of how he used his strength to protect people and to fight for what was right? What do you think really makes someone a true hero? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me today.